Hello and welcome. I'm Melinda Kimami. Tonight, President Buhari opposes the admission of form containing his biodata at the Presidential Election Tribunal in Abuja as the People's Democratic Party calls its first witness. Senator representing Adamawa North, Elisha Abo, gets 5 million naira bail following his arraignment at the FCT Magistrate Court for allegedly assaulting nursing mother in Abuja. Bele Kyari takes over at the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation as new Group Managing Director, vows to work with the EFCC in tackling corruption in the state oil company. And former Congolese military leader Bosco Ntaganda found guilty by the International Criminal Court for war crimes, including murder, rape, and using child children.
Business news tonight: implementation of International Financial Reporting Standards 9 moderates Nigerian banks' non-performing loans at 10.9%.
In sports news, Corrie Golf's extraordinary Wimbledon adventure comes to an end as the 15-year-old bows to Simona Halep in the round of 16.
And from Abuja, some PDP lawmakers in the House of Representatives asked party's leadership to lift the suspension of Minority Leader Ndudi Elumelu and 6 other members by the PDP National Working Committee.
President Muhammadu Buhari has opposed the admission of his Form CF001 containing his personal data submitted to the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) for the February 23rd presidential election. The president's objection was announced by his lead counsel, Wole Olanikepu, at the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal sitting in Abuja. While objecting to the admission of the form, Mr. Olanikepu said his reason will be made known to the court at the address stage. Our correspondent, Amaka Okafo, has the rest of the story.
The Presidential Election Tribunal has continued with the hearing of the petition of the People's Democratic Party and its presidential candidate, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. The PDP and its candidate tendered President Muhammadu Buhari's Form C001 containing his biodata, which was submitted to INEC as part of efforts to establish their petition against the president's qualification for the last presidential election. Apart from the form, the PDP and its candidate also tendered the final results of the election signed by the chairman of INEC, Professor Yakubu Mahmood, which the tribunal admitted as exhibits. Also tendered and admitted as exhibits are documents containing the total number of voters in the INEC register and the number of collected permanent voters' cards for the election. Lead counsel to the PDP and its candidate, Mr. Livy Uzoku, also tendered 6 newspaper publications and 10 press statements issued by INEC in respect of the election and other documents numbering 6,806, mainly election results sheets from Kano and Zamfara states. The president and the other respondents in the case objected to the admission of the documents but reserved their reasons to their final addresses. The petitioners also kick-started calling of witnesses to testify in their allegation of election malpractices, corruption, irregularities and violence against the conduct of the election that produced President Muhammadu Buhari. The first witness, Mr. Buba Galadima, on the cross-examination, said that he supported the president in 2003, 2007, 2011 and 2015 presidential elections, but parted ways with him due to the president's alleged unfulfilled promises. Another witness, Mr. Ebenezer Olalekon, also admitted to transmitting election results to the INEC server. Mr. Olalekon told the tribunal that the INEC server was automatic and embedded in the smart card reader for the purpose of transmitting results. He added that he personally transmitted results to the INEC server through a code provided by the electoral umpire, saying that the server was connected to the smart card reader. Amaka Okafo, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, the Abuja division of the Court of Appeal has reserved judgment in the appeal filed against President Muhammadu Buhari's academic qualification for the 2019 presidential election. The 3-member panel of the appellate court, presided over by Justice Atinuke Akomolafe Wilson, reserved judgment after listening to the argument canvassed by counsel to the parties in the suit. Counsel to the appellant, Mr. Upai Okairo, insisted that President Buhari was not academically qualified to stand for the presidential poll on the grounds that the required certificates were not attached to his Form CF-001 submitted to INEC. The counsel denied the claim that the suit of the appellant was statute barred, adding that the case was instituted on November the 5th, 2018, within the 14 days allowed by law. Mr. Okairo therefore asked the appellate court to allow the appeal and set aside the decision of the Federal High Court on the grounds of miscarriage of justice. However, lawyers to the President and INEC asked the court to dismiss the appeal for being incompetent and lacking in merit. President Buhari's counsel, Abdullahi Abubakar, specifically told the appeal court that the case of the appellant was statute barred, having not been filed within the mandatory period stipulated by law. Also in the federal capital, an Abuja magistrate court has granted bail to the lawmaker representing Adamawa North Senatorial District, that's Senator Elisha Abo, who is standing trial for an alleged assault and criminal force. Senator Abu, who was arraigned before senior magistrate Abdullahi Ilela, pleaded not guilty to the charge of allegedly assaulting a nursing mother at an adult toy shop in Abuja. Magistrate Ilela granted him bail in the sum of 5 million naira and 2 sureties in like sum, who must also have verifiable addresses within the FCT. Hearing of the court has been fixed for the case has been fixed for July the 22nd. While the prosecutor, James Idachaba, claims that a prima facie case has been established against the lawmaker.
Arraignment on information on FIR is purely just on prima facie. That is the little evidence gathered in the course of preliminary investigation. But we'll go further than that, because the requirement of the law is that we should prove our case beyond reasonable doubt. So anything that is likely to arise that will maybe lead to doubt in the minds of the court, we have to eliminate them. And that is why there is need for in-depth investigation, which is yet to be concluded. And that, I can assure you, will be done as quickly as possible.
Staying with legal matters, but this time in Lagos, where the Federal High Court has granted Owando PLC permission to file a motion for a judicial review of the Securities and Exchange Commission's decision imposing a fine of 89,675,000 naira on it. Justice Ayokunle Faji also granted leave to the oil company to apply for an order of certiorari quashing SEC's directive to convene an extraordinary general meeting on or before July the 1st to appoint new directors and articulate remedial measures for alleged corporate governance lapses. The judge further granted leave to Owando PLC to apply for an order of certiorari for quashing of a press release by SEC on June the 1st, appointing an interim management team to be led by Mr. Mutiu Sumonu. Justice Faji also directed Owando to ensure service of order and the application for judicial review within 48 hours and adjourned until July the 22nd for further hearing. It's a new dawn at the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) as Mr. Mele Kyari officially takes over as the 19th Group Managing Director. Mr. Kyari, a geologist who until his appointment was the General Manager of the Crude Oil Marketing Department of the corporation, takes over from Mr. Mekanti Baru, who retired after attaining the age of 60. At the handover ceremony, Mr. Kyari said his administration will focus on the expectation of Nigerians with zero tolerance for corruption.
After 3 years of service as Group Managing Director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, Dr. Mekanti Baru officially hands over the reins to Mr. Mele Kyari, a geophysicist, an expert in crude oil marketing, and currently Nigeria's representative at the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries.
Mele Kyari.
Mele Kyari is now Nigeria's 19th Group Managing Director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, and past managing directors at the ceremony spoke on their hopes for the future.
Mekanti is more than that. We have had in recent times encomium from different places, both local and international. And I think he has earned every word of that.
I had no idea that he would achieve these heights. I'm proud of him.
The outgoing group managing director, in an emotional valedictory speech, takes time to thank all staff critical to what he describes as a successful tenure. He urges the incoming GMD to start mentoring a successor if he wants to have a sustained legacy.
I look back with so much pride of what we have achieved together as a family towards moving this great corporation forward, using the 12 business focus areas. I would like to thank you all for your support, especially to all my chief operating officers and the chief financial officer who are retiring also with me today.
After the official handover, the new group managing director thanks all who came and restates his commitment to fighting corruption in the sector by keeping the activities of the corporation transparent.
There will be no corruption where there is no discretion. Corruption is about discretion. You don't have discretion, nobody will give you money. Therefore, what it means is that we're going to work with EFCC to make sure that we take out discretion in our system.
The new group managing director has had 27 years of experience in the NNPC and takes the reins alongside 7 new chief operating officers. It is hoped that he will build on the legacy left by Mekanti Baru and address many of the problems bedeviling the petroleum sector in his time as group managing director.
While global statistics for maternal mortality have continued to reduce by 2.3% between 1990 and 2015, in Nigeria, it remains high as over 100 women still die daily from pregnancy-related complications, and that's according to the United Nations. At the official launch of the 2019 State of the World report in Abuja, the UN resident coordinator appeals to the federal and state government to redouble efforts at improving female reproductive health in Nigeria.
Government officials, representatives of the United Nations, as well as the diplomatic community are in this hall at the Transcorp Hilton Hotel Abuja to witness the official launch of the 2019 United Nations State of the World report, The Unfinished Business. The report focuses on the global state of female reproductive health. It highlights the achievements of the various United Nations interventions targeted at improving the reproductive health of women, gender equality, as well as poverty eradication. While the United Nations acknowledges that there is a global decline in maternal mortality since 1994, it wants the federal and state governments to address Nigeria's high maternal mortality.
There is an urgent need to sustain efforts to realize reproductive health and rights of every human being. Worldwide, 800 women die from preventable causes during pregnancy and childbirth every day. Coming back home in Nigeria, 111 women die daily during childbirth.
According to the United Nations, global maternal mortality has declined from 385 deaths per 100,000 live births in 1990 to 216 deaths per 100,000 live births in 2015. Also between the year 2000 and 2015, Nigeria experienced a decline from 1,170 deaths per 100,000 live births to 814 deaths per 100,000 live births. However, participants insist that the gains made are not enough.
Apart from the very unsatisfactory indicators in many parts of the world, in some circumstances, people are even losing access to the services they need to exercise their reproductive rights. We need to do more.
There are 5 leading causes of maternal deaths around the world. These include obstetrics hemorrhage, sepsis, obstructed labor, and complications from unsafe abortions. Health experts believe that deaths resulting from these causes are preventable if only the government will work hard to strengthen female reproductive health.
In part 2, after the break, we have more on the report by the UNFPA. The Monitoring and Evaluation Specialist with the organization is in our ABUJA studios to discuss the issues.